Royal bombshell. Princess Leonor and Prince Christian's wedding stuns all of Europe. Crown fire. It was meant to be a royal celebration, traditional, beautiful, predictable. But what unfolded instead shook Europe to its core. A royal wedding unlike any other. A union that not only united two young hearts but two ancient monarchies. And a single moment that left Spain and Denmark, and the entire continent, speechless. The setting was flawless. Madrid's Almudena Cathedral gleamed beneath the morning sun. The air carried the scent of roses and jasmine. Bells tolled through the capital as thousands lined the streets, waving red and gold flags. Inside, the cathedral shimmered with centuries of history. But behind the polished perfection, whispers had already begun. Was the ceremony going to break royal protocol? Was the heir to Spain's throne truly going to make history, not just as a bride, but as a modern queen in the making? As the doors opened, all questions faded. The entire world gasped. Princess Leonor, radiant, calm, yet visibly emotional, stepped forward in a gown that stunned even royal historians. It wasn't the expected Spanish lace. It wasn't the Danish silk. It was a masterpiece blending both cultures, Spain's elegance with Denmark's simplicity, symbolizing a union deeper than anyone imagined. King Felipe watched from the front row, his expression proud but misty. Queen Letitia's eyes shimmered with tears, clutching a small lace handkerchief, the same one her mother had given her on her own wedding day. And then, the organ fell silent. All eyes turned. The doors opened once more. Prince Christian of Denmark entered, not in a heavy royal uniform, but in a tailored suit inspired by Spanish tradition. His first words as he approached Leonor. Whispered, but caught on camera, "You're my destiny." That's when the emotion broke through the grandeur. The two locked eyes, and every protocol, every tradition, melted into something real. Something human. Across Europe, millions watched live. In Denmark, church bells rang in unison. In Spain, plazas erupted with cheers. And on social media, the phrase, "A new era begins," trended within minutes. But then, the bombshell. When the archbishop reached the point where he asked for the royal vows, Princess Leonor stepped forward. Instead of the expected, "I do," she began to speak. A personal vow, one that no monarch in waiting had ever dared to say aloud. "My duty is to my people. My heart, to the one I love. And together, we serve, not as rulers above, but as hands among those who believe in what's right." A stunned silence filled the cathedral. Cameras zoomed in on the faces of the royal family. Queen Margrethe of Denmark nodded, visibly moved. King Philippe's eyes glistened. Even the archbishop paused, taken aback by the sincerity of her words. When Christian responded, his voice cracked with emotion. "With you, I stand not as a prince, but as a man who believes in love's strength to lead." The applause began quietly, a ripple from the back, then spread like wildfire through the cathedral. Guests, dignitaries, and even members of rival political factions rose to their feet. Applauding the couple, applauding the courage, applauding what felt like the beginning of a new royal age. Outside, the celebration grew wilder. As the couple exited the cathedral, confetti and rose petals filled the sky. Crowds screamed Leonor's name. "Viva la Reina! Viva Leonor!" echoed through the city. But the surprises didn't stop there. As they stepped into the royal carriage, the cameras captured something unexpected. Instead of the traditional wave from afar, Leonor reached down and took the hand of a young girl in the crowd, a girl holding a small Danish flag. She smiled, whispered something, and handed the child a single rose from her bouquet. That single moment was replayed across news networks for days. Commentators called it the Diana moment, a sign that Leonor's reign, when it comes, will be rooted in compassion and connection. Later that evening, during the royal banquet at the royal palace, another revelation came. Queen Letizia rose to speak, something rare for her, as she often lets King Felipe lead official addresses. But her words silenced the hall. "Tonight," she said, her voice trembling, "Spain does not just celebrate a marriage. We celebrate a future. A daughter who carries the crown not as weight, but as promise. And a love that proves duty and heart can live side by side." Tears filled the room. Even the stoic King Felipe raised his glass, unable to hide his emotion. Meanwhile, in Denmark, the celebrations mirrored the grandeur. Castles lit up in red and gold lights. The royal family's intertwined crests were projected onto Amalienborg Palace. Crowds gathered in Copenhagen, chanting the couple's names. For the first time in history, two nations celebrated one royal love story together, united, proud, and hopeful. But beyond the beauty, beyond the pomp, there was something deeper stirring across Europe. Analysts called it the Leonor effect. A generation of young people, especially young women, found inspiration in her words. Not just a princess in pearls, but a leader in heart. A woman who spoke of love and duty not as opposites, but as partners. By midnight, global coverage called it the wedding that redefined monarchy. Royal experts compared it to the weddings of Charles and Diana, William and Kate, even Victoria of Sweden, but with one key difference: Leonor and Christian's ceremony felt real. Not staged, not political. A blend of tradition and authenticity that resonated far beyond Europe's borders. The next morning, newspapers from London to Paris carried the same headline: "A new era begins." For Spain, it marked the dawn of confidence in their future queen. For Denmark, it symbolized unity through love. And for the rest of the world, it was proof that royalty could still touch hearts, not just headlines. As dawn broke over Madrid, the streets were still covered in roses. Volunteers collected the petals to preserve them, some to be pressed into books, others to be turned into keepsakes for the royal archives. And somewhere inside the palace, Leonor and Christian stood on the balcony, looking out over their united nations. No cameras, no crowds, just two people, now husband and wife, quietly holding hands, the weight of history on their shoulders and love lighting their way. Because in the end, the real bombshell wasn't the spectacle. It wasn't the grandeur. It was the truth that after centuries of formality, a royal couple reminded the world of something simple, that even behind crowns, they are still human. Still in love, and still capable of changing history with a single vow. And as Europe wakes up to this new chapter, one thing is certain: the name Princess Leonor will be remembered not just as Spain's future queen, but as the woman who brought heart back to the throne. Crown Red Heart.